Okay, good morning and welcome to Iyun with Benzion. Today we'll be discussing a topic I love to discuss. I mean, I haven't really thought about this topic before, but since the Gemara introduces it on Daf Ayin Gimel and Aleph, the concept of an Arel eating Meiser, it's clear from the first Mishnah on Ha'arel that he can't eat Truma on Arel. Now, the Gemara gives two sources why an Arel can't eat Truma. One source that an Arel can't eat Truma is learned from Eliezer. It's Malchus Hanoim. Eliezer learns it's a Gzera Shava. It says Toshav Sacher by Pesach. Pesach says an Arel can't eat it. That's like special pasuk there. And the Gzera Shava Toshav Sacher it says by Pesach. Toshav and Sacher it says by Truma. Just like by Pesach an Arel can't eat it, so too an Arel can't eat Truma. Or like Rabbi Akiva. Rabbi Akiva says Ein Sarich Ish Ish. It says Ish Ish when it comes to a Zav and Mitzorah. People are Tameh. They have severe tumas. Or a Zav and a Mitzorah. He has leprosy. He's Tameh, so they can't eat Truma. So Ish Ish, the extra word Ish comes to the Rabbah, not just a Zav Mitzorah, but also an Arel. He also can't eat Kachim, and part of Kachim is eating Truma. Truma is referred to in that pasuk as Kachim also. So that's two different Makoros. So, first of all, who do we paskin like? Does it make a difference? Is there a nafkamina between these two opinions, Eliezer and Rabbi Akiva? They both say that an Arel can't eat Truma. I would like to suggest that their machlokes is the machlokes about Arel eating Meiser. There's two sides in this Gemara. The Gemara actually tries to first bring a proof that we learn that Meiser should be Asher to an Arel from Pesach, because we learn Pesach, Karam Pesach, learn from Meiser regarding Aninus. Just like an Oni can't eat Meiser Sheni, it says Lo Achalti Min Oni. So too by Karam Pesach, which is more Chomer, obviously, but it's Kodshim is more Chomer, so therefore an Oni can't partake of Kodshim, it can't partake of Karam Pesach. So just like we learn from Meiser Sheni to Karam Pesach by Aninus, we learn from Karam Pesach to Meiser Sheni by Arelos, right? It says explicitly by Karam Pesach, an Arel can't eat it. So it's Meiser Sheni, an Arel can't eat it. Now there's a problem with this, and the Gemara says that maybe we should learn it, or maybe you don't learn Chomer Mikal, so it doesn't make any sense. Of course you don't learn Chomer Mikal. Kal v'chomer, the whole thing is the Kal has to come first, right? That if it applies in one case, certainly applies where it's more Mekel, right? Where it's more Machmir, right? If it applies in a more Mekel case, in Isser, certainly it's going to apply in a more Machmir case. But to say if it applies in a more Machmir case, so it should apply in a more Mekel case, Meiser Sheni is more Mekel, is more Kulas than Kachim. It doesn't make any sense, Tosfos says. It doesn't make any sense, right? So Tosfos says, the Gemara is really asking, it's not really clear, how do we know that just because Meiser Sheni you can't eat Baninas, also Karam Pesach can't eat Baninas? Where do we know that from? Is it a Gzera Shava? We haven't found it anywhere. Is it a Kal v'chomer? If it's a Kal v'chomer, so Kal v'chomer you learn. Chamor v'Kal you don't learn. So it says the side that you do learn is it's a Gzera Shava. Once it's a Gzera Shava, so therefore just like you can freely move halachas from Meiser Sheni to Karam Pesach, you can freely move halachas from Karam Pesach to Meiser Sheni. It's not really clear if it's a Gzera Shava or a Kal v'chomer. I would like to suggest a different way of explaining this Gemara. And I like to say the Gemara is really basing it in Svara over here. And when the Machlokes in Eliezer and Rabbi Akiva, it has a big nafkamina. Meaning, what is the reason an Arel can't eat Truma? According to Rabbi Akiva, he learns it's compared to a Zav and a Mitzorah. That just like a Zav and Mitzorah can't eat Truma, so an Arel also, Ish Ish, an Arel, so it's the reason he can't eat Truma. An Arel is called Tameh. An Arel has Tuma. If you don't have a bris milah, you're called a Tameh. Right? And according to Rabbi Eliezer, no, it has nothing to do with being Tameh. Like the Gemara says very clearly on Daf Ayin Aleph, Ayin Aleph, we talked about this in previously in Benzion. Arel Mishum de Mois. Right? The reason an Arel can't eat Karam Pesach is he's Mos, right? So if you're learning from Karam Pesach, Toshav Sacher, like Rabbi Eliezer, so therefore, just like by Karam Pesach, the reason you can't eat is because you're Mos, you're repugnant. It doesn't say you're Tameh. Tameh is I think a lower dark. Tuma is much worse. You go to the mikvah. Mos, you're repugnant. So therefore, you're repugnant by Karam Pesach. And we learn from Gzera Shava, Toshav Sacher, also an Arel is repugnant and he can't eat Truma. So that would be the nafkamina. What is the reason that an Arel can't eat Truma? Is it because he's Mos, according to Rabbi Eliezer? Or is it because he's Tameh, according to Rabbi Akiva? So I believe that would be the question over here. Meaning, of course, there's no Gzera Shava. There is no Gzera Shava. We don't find a Gzera Shava anywhere. But Meiser Sheni, right? If you learn that Meiser Sheni, That's the Gemara saying, do we hold like Rabbi Eliezer or do we hold like Rabbi Akiva? If you say that the reason an RL can't eat Truma is like Rabbi Akiva because he's Tameh, right? So obviously, it has no connection to Pesach. So you can't learn from Pesach Areilus to Meiser Sheni, right? There's no connection. There's no Gzera Shava. Kal v'chomer v'kal doesn't work. But maybe that really the reason is like Rabbi Eliezer, and really the reason is Mos. Just like you find it's a mematzina, just like you find a Karan Pesach, he's Mos. So therefore, logically, we'd assume it's not really a Kal v'chomer, it's more of a mematzina, just like a Karan Pesach. The same svara would apply. Just like Karan Pesach, you find he's Mos. So therefore, also by if we learn from Karan Pesach because he's Mos, so an RL is considered Mos, so you can't get Karan Pesach, so therefore who's to say by Meiser Sheni it would apply also. But if you say that an RL is Tameh, it has nothing to do with Karan Pesach, so then maybe I can say, just like there's Tumah is a much worse darga, you can't eat Truma, so therefore Meiser Sheni is similar to Truma, and Tumah is a much worse darga, and therefore, according to Rabbi Akiva, he wouldn't be allowed to eat Meiser. He wouldn't eat Meiser Sheni. So I would say that's what the Gemara is saying. It's a mem matzina. It's not a kal v'chomer, and it's not a gzera shava. It's a mem matzina. Can we compare them? If the reason is RL candy is because most, so who's to say that applies? That's by Karan Pesach. But who's to say that applies to Meiser Sheni? But if you say that it's Tumah, so then there's more reason to hear that in RL he's considered Tameh, so he can't eat Meiser Sheni also, because we know that a Tameh person can't eat Meiser Sheni. We never found that a Mos person can't eat Meiser Sheni, but we know the Gemara in Gilon Beis says that a Tameh person, lo achalti min b'tameh, right? Only b'tameh, right? Ben shani Tameh b'hutar, ben shehutar v'ani Tameh. Tuma is a problem, Meiser Sheni. And that would be the Shiloh over here. The Gemara seems to imply at the end that we say Tana v'Shayer, there is a difference, that Meiser Sheni technically could be eaten by an RL, which would seem to indicate that the reason is not because of Tuma. Areilus is not a psul because of Tuma. Areilus is a psul because of Mos, which seems to be the Gemara's de facto discussion on Ayin Aleph Min Aleph, that really it's because an RL is Mos, an RL is Mos, and RL is not considered Tameh. So if it is, and it seems the sum of the Gemara, we're going according to Rabbi Eliezer, that's the main opinion, so he's Mos and not Tameh. So let's bring this one step back. We discussed what the case of RL is. Is RL Meso Achamach Mila, Rashi's at the beginning of the parak, or is RL a case where he's Meshumad La'arelos, where the guy's rejecting the mitzvah Arelos on purpose, he's not getting a bris Mila, not as an onus. So once we seem that the maskana of the Gemara is that Meiser, the reason Arelos is possible is because of Mos, and therefore it shouldn't apply to Meiser Sheni. Maybe we could say like this, that maybe Rashi and Rabbeinu Tam are both correct, and Rabbi Akiva and Rabbi Eliezer are both correct. One person's talking about, they're not arguing on each other, they're providing a source for both of them. That if you learn that Rashi, that an RL is because Mesa Echel Hasmila, so I was explaining that it's only because the mitzvah of Mila is just a mitzvah essay, your Mavatal mitzvah essay, your Nenes and a mitzvah essay, nothing you can do about it. So it's hard to understand why, but if you say RL is most, so that's the explanation which Rabbi Eliezer learns, that would explain Rashi. He's considered most, so an RL can't eat Truma. When do you consider Tameh? If you say someone's Tameh, you need a higher level. If you say someone's Tameh, you have to say that he's Meshumad La'arelos. Once Meshumad La'arelos, he rejects Arelos, then I can understand that there's actually a darga of Tameh. So maybe Rabbi Eliezer is talking about a case where he's a Mavatal at Machmas Ones. He'd still be called a Mos. And because adding that he's Meshumad La'arelos, like Rabbeinu Tam, then he would be considered to be, if he's Meshumad La'arelos, then he would be considered to be a Tameh. He'd be considered to be a Tameh. And then we have Nafkamina over here. It would come out that Meiser Sheni, right? It depends. Why are you in RL? Are you in RL Machmas Ones? So if you're RL Machmas Ones, Mius. So it wouldn't apply with Meiser Sheni. But if you're an RL because Meshumad La'arelos, like Rabbeinu Tam, then maybe you would have Tumah, and maybe your Akiva would make sense over here, and therefore your RL would be Asr to Meiser Sheni. It could be that Halacha L'Maisa that Mashum Arelos wouldn't be able to eat Meiser Sheni because he's Tameh, right? He's Tameh. He's Mabatal the mitzvah's essay. He's Mabatal the mitzvah's essay. Maybe even Rashi's Maskan, there is a mitzvah's essay, a bittul mitzvah's essay. He's even willing to say Rashi that an RL is most, and even if he's only an ones, he's still the most is enough, like Rabbi Lezer says, to passel him from eating truma, not from Meiser. That would not enough kamina, not by Meiser Sheni. Only is b'shumad arelis, then he can't eat Meiser Sheni. These are big chidushim. Shimon loved them. I don't know if you understood what I was saying. Not Shimon, Shmuel. You like that Shmuel? It's good. All right, he's not listening. All right. Anyway, it was really big chiddush today. I hope you enjoyed. See you tomorrow.